Hi, my name is Jessie. I am a part of the Blind Horse Foundation, and today I will be sharing with you 2 cues that I use with my blind horses on a regular basis. And those 2 vocal cues are the near cue and the far cue. These cues are pretty self-explanatory. The near cue tells your horse that they need to come a little bit closer to you, and then the far cue tells them when they need to step a little bit farther away. This helps with safety for both you and your equine, and then it also helps build communication, and you can use these signals to help you and your horse have a little bit more fun on the ground as well. So I'm excited to show you this. So there are 2 ways that I'm going to be showing you today on how to do this, and it's all based around a pattern that you probably already know and love, the weave pattern. Some people use this on the ground to do high-level groundwork stuff. Some people use this in barrel racing for like pole bending and whatnot. Either way, this is a great tool to use while we're teaching our horses the near and far cues, because it gives our brains as humans a specific order and a place to time our cues. Gives us something to aim at, and that tends to help us learn better. So anyways, for the first round, I'm going to show you how to do this up close in hand. That's the teaching phase. And I will be also showing you how to tell when your horse kind of starts to understand the cues far and near better. Kind of give you a few pointers to look for as to when your horse starts telling you that, when they start actually understanding the cues, because you don't want to move on until they understand the pattern, and not only understand the pattern but are responding to your vocal cues specifically. And you have to time everything in a way to make that clear to them as well. But then the second part, I'll show you how to do it a little bit farther away, and that's when it gets quite fun. At least to me. I'm a little bit. But anyways, so for this exercise, you are going to need a halter and a lead rope. I like to use a rope halter just because it becomes a little bit more easy to communicate with my horse that way. And then you will need a stiff stick of some sort. I like the stiff training sticks for this specifically because if you use a flexible one, when your horse bumps into it, like regular lunge rope for instance, it will just give, and you can't really use that very well for clear communication with your horse without like snapping them. And that is not a good way to build confidence with your horse. I'm sure there's a way around that for some people that are probably far better at handling the regular snap whip for me, but I find that when you use a snap whip, it's really hard to like stop when you move, like it kind of ricochets up at the top. Anyways, so yeah, so you'll need a halter and lead line, and you'll need a stiff stick. And then for later phases, you will need a longer line, like a lunge line, in order to play this game. Anyways, let's get rolling. Let me go grab my beautiful horse. And we are back with our beautiful blind horse, Mr. Blinken here. And we're going to go ahead and get started and show you guys how to do this pattern in hand and on line. So while I do this pattern, I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot of talking, but I'll put a lot of text for context, or some text for context, up in the video, because obviously when we're using vocal cues, we can't confuse the vocal cues with regular conversation with our horse, so we want to kind of separate that out when we're working with them. So anyways, I'm going to move the camera to a little bit of a different angle because there's quite a few comments along the way, just to make it a little bit easier. Okay, so as we go through this pattern in hand, what you'll notice is I am using the lead rope, and I can also touch him on the shoulder if he needed. But Blink has been doing this pattern for quite a while now, so he knows it pretty well. But basically, I use my body and the ropes to enforce my vocal cues, but you do want to specifically wait a second before using your physical cues, in order to make sure that they separate the vocal cues from the physical cues, and they're not just responding to your physical cues. You have to separate the two in order for them to understand that your vocal cue is actually a cue, not just your physical cue with some commotion added to it. Blink. Oh. Good boy. Blink. Here. Blink. Hard. Blink. Hard. So when you start out with this pattern and teaching your horse the near and far cues, it's going to be best to run through it a few times and also stay up close. I would say at least do it between 3 and 4 sessions before you try to add any distance from your horse. That way your horse can understand what the pattern is. And personally, I like to give them a little bit of a treat at the end of each go around just to kind of give them a reason to keep going rather than just mindless movement. Yeah, so that is the in-hand close part. I'm going to do it one more time here just to kind of show the close part, and then we're going to move on to the long line example. Before you move on to the distance part of this exercise, that your horse understands the pattern thoroughly, up close in hand. You want to set you and your horse up for success. Be gentle. If you feel yourself getting frustrated, stop, take a breather, let your horse finish their cookie if you decide to use cookies. And if things just aren't working very well, it's best to just go back to that place in hand with them. Just go back a step. That's all. And don't worry, go slow, believe in you and your horse, you'll get it. And if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to post them on the chat in the Blind Horse Foundation Facebook group. If you're not added yet and you have a blind horse, feel free to message us at the Blind Horse Foundation Facebook group, and we will be happy to add you in, where there are a lot of other blind horse owners going through the same thing just as you, learning how to communicate with their horses and work with their horses after they have gone blind. So anyways, have fun.